successful at getting people elected. No, he's got skills. He'll make money in the private sector if he wants to do that too.
We still had a man, sir.
Mic check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Sorry. How you doing, Governor? Good to see you again. Got him staring right in the sun, poor guy.
Those guys, if they want to. You guys got everything you need here?
Reset everybody? Great.
Have a couple of you guys over there if you want. Well, good morning, everybody. We'll do this event here to the background noises of comfort and progress. We know that Helene has been the deadliest and most devastating storm in North Carolina history. Because of heroic rescue work of first responders, soldiers, search and rescue teams, and even neighbors, thousands of lives have been saved. Because of the unprecedented and coordinated effort among state, local, and federal workers, along with charities and volunteers, millions of pounds of food, water, medicine, and supplies have been delivered. The North Carolina Department of Transportation worked to clear roads so utility crews could reconnect homes and businesses to power. Just after the storm, more than 1 million customers were without power. This morning, that number is now down to 5,400. The NCDOT has already reopened more than 750 of the 1,200 roads that were closed after the storm. They have more than 2,000 employees using 900 pieces of heavy equipment, hundreds of contractors, all sometimes working in the rugged mountain terrain to get this job done. We have 28 school districts that closed following the storm that are now open. 7 more to go. My request to the federal government resulted in the fastest and largest integration of United States military soldiers with the North Carolina National Guard in North Carolina history. More than 3,100 soldiers and airmen have been working here in a joint task force led by the North Carolina National Guard and is made up of soldiers and airmen from 12 states. The Biden-Harris administration has responded quickly and positively to our request from FEMA, which has had 1,400 staff on the ground and has registered 206,000 people for individual assistance and distributed $124 million directly to people who need it, while providing temporary housing to more than 5,300 people. To the SBA, that has registered 5,000 businesses that have asked for assistance. To the quick response when North Carolina requested United States military help by sending 1,500 soldiers. To the EPA helping to repair water systems. To the United States Department of Transportation providing $100 million in emergency funds with much more to come. To DHS for turning on the emergency DSNAP benefits for people who are hungry. To the Army Corps of Engineers helping with water systems and other challenges, with getting from President Biden 100% FEMA assistance for 6 months and a lot more. The federal government has been responsive to our request for help. As for long-term recovery, state and local government will be all in, along with the federal government. It's critical that Western North Carolina fully recover and make it more resilient and stronger as it recovers. This will take billions of dollars and years of bipartisan focus from everyone working together to make it happen. From new roads and bridges, to public buildings, to water supplies, to people's homes. We need Western North Carolina to recover. One thing we can all agree on is that the beauty, the vitality, and the economy of the North Carolina mountains must be fully restored. And it will. Already, businesses have opened in areas that have been made safe. Tourism is important here, and we've got to encourage it in places that are ready for it. Together, Western North Carolina will recover. But here in Western North Carolina, we don't need the election process to hurt recovery efforts. I've signed a bipartisan bill that increases opportunities to vote in Western North Carolina, with county boards given more flexibility and people being able to bring absentee ballots to early voting sites. People will have their opportunity to have their voices heard. But deliberate disinformation and misinformation that has been condemned by a bipartisan coalition of local, state, and federal North Carolina officials needs to stop. It hurts the very people we are all trying to help. It discourages and makes people fearful of signing up for help. It enables scam artists, and it hurts the morale of government officials, first responders, and soldiers who are on the ground trying to help. Donald Trump is coming to Asheville today. I'm asking that he not share lies or misinformation while he is here. I have talked with many of the survivors and many of the people who are helping over the last 3 weeks. Many survivors of this storm lost everything. They want help and they want the truth. We should work together to give them both. Storm recovery cannot be partisan. To truly help people, we must check party politics at the door and get this job done. Got a lot of people here who are working together, from the city of Asheville to the state of North Carolina to the federal government to the National Guard. And now I want to introduce the administrator of FEMA, who has been with me on the ground most every day since this storm hit, Deanne Criswell. Deanne?
Thank you, Governor. Thank you for your leadership and your continued partnership. From the beginning of this disaster, as the Governor mentioned, even before it made landfall, we've been working side by side with the Governor and his team. From our teams that were embedded in the Emergency Operations Center before the storm hit, being able to deploy search and rescue teams on the ground, saving lives, to our disaster survivor assistance teams that are here now going door to door. We will continue, Governor, to be with you every step of the way during this recovery. We know that recovery can be complicated, but when we have a strong partnership like we have here with local, state, federal, nonprofit partners, it is doable. And I've seen firsthand over the last few weeks with the governor that these communities are resilient and they will rebuild even stronger than before. To date, we've provided over $4.3 billion in funding to help people across all states impacted by Hurricane Helene, with $1.4 billion here in North Carolina's response and early recovery efforts. And that includes about $130 million directly to the people that have been impacted by the storm. These numbers will only continue to rise over the coming weeks. Nearly 6,000 people have checked into FEMA's hotel program, allowing them a safe and warm place to stay while they also recover. And we have over 400 disaster survivor assistance members in communities providing support and 14 disaster recovery centers to help people register for assistance and get all of the funding that they are eligible for and they deserve. Governor, as I have told you from the earliest forecast of this storm, when the impacts were possible, FEMA will be here to support you, your state and your communities in the response as well as in the recovery. And as you have said many times in the last several weeks, this was an unprecedented event and it requires an unprecedented response and recovery. And what I have learned traveling with the governor over these past few weeks, as well as from past recoveries across the nation, is that they work best when the community doesn't just have a seat at the table, but they have a leading role in the recovery itself. And that's why today, what we are launching is a new initiative and a new commitment to be hiring community liaisons in the impacted counties. We know that so many people have temporarily lost their jobs. We know that others just want to be able to give back. And we want to help keep people in these communities while they recover. So these new community liaisons are going to work alongside us at FEMA to make sure that they are the local voice, the trusted voice in their community, and that they can share with us the local considerations and the concerns so we can include them as part of this recovery. They're going to be embedded in every county, working directly with county administrators, mayors, and community leaders, bridging their concerns with our FEMA staff. And these jobs are available for people to apply right now, and we appreciate the media's help in getting the word out. In the weeks and the months to come, I anticipate that we are going to hire even more people across these communities because we know that recovery works best when we do it with the community at the table, helping us understand what their needs are. So thank you, Governor, again for your leadership, and as the President has said, we will be with you every step of the way in this recovery.
We'll now hear from our Department of Public Safety Secretary, Eddie Buffalo.
Thank you, Governor. Good morning. Our State Emergency Operations Center and our Regional Coordination Center in the West remain activated in supporting both response and recovery efforts here in the West. Our disaster recovery centers will continue to remain open this week. We have 15 currently open with an additional 3 in Madison, Rutherford, and Yancey counties. On our communication front, we have made great strides in that area. Currently, there are only one 911 center that is on alternate routing due to critical infrastructure damages. We are looking at approximately 94% of our communication capabilities have been restored across Western North Carolina. The remaining areas require a significant infrastructure reconstruction. On our water system front, there are 25 portable water systems either on partial system or system-wide boil advisory notice. 15 systems need bacteria results to clear the advisory. Additionally, one system, only one, remains without power, 4 are operating on backup power, and 2 systems are out of water, and 2 systems, unfortunately, are closed. There are 224 wastewater treatment facilities in the affected area that are operating under normal operations. Additionally, 27 wastewater treatment plants are partially operational or operating on backup power. 5 have no power. 10 are closed with significant damage. 1 continues to have no access, but we're continuing to work with the National Guard and our Department of Transportation to assist with that access. We want to thank NC Waterwarren, FEMA, the Army Corps of Engineers, EPA, and our Department of Environmental Quality in ensuring that we get those systems back in place. We currently have 11 shelters that are operational with 472 occupants and 62 pets. Our mass feeding continues across 14 counties, providing over 450 meals so far. Our comfort stations, such as the one that we're located here today in Asheville, are open here in Asheville, Swannanoa, and Weaversville. Our community care sites remain active and providing medical support in these impacted areas. I want to offer our sincere condolences and prayers and thoughts. Unfortunately and sadly, we have 95 storm-related fatalities over 21 counties. And based on our NC 211 data, we have 26 that are unaccounted for. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you, sir. We'll now hear from our Secretary of Transportation, Joey Hopkins.
Thank you, Governor. Good morning. Of the more than 2,000 DOT workers that are working to restore roads in North Carolina, Western North Carolina, over 1,300 of those are from this area. And many of those employees, their family members or friends have been directly impacted by the effects of Helene. And we're grateful that they continue to be great public servants and continue to work out here each and every day to restore our roads. We do have over 250 transfers from other parts of the state that are out here working. We have almost 400 central employees that are working in support of Helene recovery. In addition to that, we currently have 80 Kentucky Transportation Cabinet employees that are assigned to North Carolina helping out from Kentucky. We're very appreciative of what they're doing. And also the North Carolina National Guard and the U.S. Army are helping to rebuild roads and remove debris from our highways, and we're grateful for that. Lastly, our heavy highway contractors in North Carolina are working hard. They are with us each and every way, rebuilding roads all across Western North Carolina. As the governor said, at the height of the storm, we had more than 1,200 closures, and now that number is less than 500. Our crews have identified more than 7,400 damage sites here in Western North Carolina. That includes more than 650 bridges and over 700 culverts. Of those bridges, we expect 120 of them at least need to be replaced. Our field assessments are now complete, so with that we do have initial estimates. These are very preliminary numbers, but we're estimating to be about $5 billion to restore our transportation infrastructure here in North Carolina. Last Friday, you may have noticed with the progress we've made, we've lifted the essential travel zone in Western North Carolina. However, I do want to say that hazardous conditions still exist, and we have a lot of ongoing work on those 500 plus roads that are left. Please use caution if you're traveling in Western North Carolina. Please be aware, please plan your trip because it may take you longer because of the work. We continue to have special messaging for truckers, especially since I-40 and I-26 remain closed near the Tennessee border. So if you're a trucker, I encourage you to go to drivenc.gov and look at that special messaging for routing. On the DMV front, this morning, the Asheville driver's license office opened at 7 a.m. Happy to report that. We still have 2 driver's license offices closed, one in Burnsville and one in Spruce Pine, and we have one license plate agency closed, and that's in Marshall. So we've done a lot of recovery on that end. There's been more than 3 weeks here for this recovery. We're grateful for the support and assistance for everybody. I also need to mention the local governments, the fire departments, the businesses that assisted, especially early in the process, even the private citizens helped to clear roads and restore transportation all across Western North Carolina, and we're grateful for that. with all the progress we've made, we do have a long way to go, and we plan to be here to the end. So thank you very much.
Finally, we'll hear from the Adjutant General of the North Carolina National Guard, General Todd Hunt.
Thank you, Governor, and good morning. I want to emphasize that the National Guard was here the night of the storm in Asheville and in the surrounding areas, and will remain vigilant in the area until our mission is complete. In working with our locals, I'd like to give you some statistics of what the National Guard has done. Right now, like the Governor said, we have 3,100 approximately soldiers in the region. Our soldiers and airmen, again, are working with locals to help distribute almost 9,000 tons of commodities that we have done so far. We have moved 841 people to shelter. We have flown over 1,200 flight hours, which means we have flown over 440 air missions in the region. We have cleared 1,800 routes, and we've rescued 746 people. We have approximately 1,200 vehicles still in the region and 12 helicopters that are supporting us on a day-to-day basis. As of right now, our priority is going to be maintain and stabilize the road system, working with DOT and the Highway Patrol, obstacle clearance, and humanitarian aid and assistance in the region. Some of the clearance we're talking about is we're helping with our engineer assets to redo some culverts and ditches in case there is another rainstorm. There's not a flooding event that occurs again. We're also working with the Army Corps of Engineers in areas like Lake Lure and Chimney Rock, along with our DOT partners. Again, our priority is to reestablish some lines of communication or some areas of access that have been cut off so that citizens can get back onto the roads. In closing, I want to thank the soldiers and airmen of the North Carolina National Guard and our active duty partners that have come to the region. We will continue to maintain our vigilance here and support the citizens of North Carolina. So thank you very much. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you, sir. We're grateful for our Guard, their families, and their employers who let them get off work in order to go on active duty. Be glad to have questions.
We're going to start here with WLOS.
Governor, it was 10 days ago, former President Trump said your office was blocking people and money from coming into North Carolina to help people in desperate need. You said that's a flat out lie. What do you hope that he learns today?
That is a flat out lie. And what I hope he does is to approach this in wanting to make sure we help people. When you are making people believe that help is not coming, often they can turn to scam artists. We're working very hard with FEMA, with volunteer groups to make sure that people have everything that they need. And it's critical that the people of Western North Carolina hear the truth about their opportunities, their recoveries, and their ability to get assistance.
Next, Blue Ridge Public Radio.
Yeah, Governor, can you also say what's the official statewide count of missing people?
As Secretary Buffalo just gave it to you, from our 211 center, it's 26 people who are unaccounted for at this point in time.
WYFF.
Governor, while the former president is in town, are you planning on meeting with him and why not?
I had no plans to meet with him. We are working on recovery. I haven't had a whole lot of time for politics lately.
USA Today.
What is the next administration in North Carolina federally in terms of the incoming administration?
Say that one more time, I'm sorry.
What is the incoming administration in North Carolina and federally next year need to do to ensure the recovery efforts continue pace?
So one of the things we're doing is working to build the foundation of recovery for the administrations that are to come and to take office in 2025. I think it's critical to lay out that blueprint, critical to get commitments of every stream of funding that we possibly can to help Western North Carolina recover. Not only was there a lot of devastation, but the terrain and topography of the North Carolina mountains is unique. So the investment, particularly to make it more resilient, is going to be greater. So that commitment of resources and that plan of action is going to be critical for the administrations at the state and federal level that are to follow.
Fox?
With the unique terrain of Western North Carolina, will all the roads and bridges be able to be rebuilt, or will there have to be other options?
So we're going to work on making sure that everything is rebuilt, also keeping in mind resiliency. We know where this water can go now. So bridges have to be rebuilt in a stronger way. It may be that routes have to be redetermined as to where it goes. But I think the idea is that in order to connect the people of the mountains, which is so important, we need to invest to be able to do that. And I'll call on Secretary Hopkins if he wants to comment on that.
Yeah, I'll just add, thank you, Governor. I'll just add this. You know, transportation is vital to what we do each and every day. None of us got here without using our transportation network. None of us will leave. The clothes we wear come on our transportation network. Our food does. We get to emergency services, schools where we work. We're going to do everything we can to rebuild the transportation network here in Western North Carolina.
Thanks, John. That's the time we've got today.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.